All right, so apparently China's getting into the ring of a grid around the planet to rival Starlink. In fact, they are going to be launching upwards of 13,000 of their satellites, and these satellites are probably going to be floating above us very soon here. It says that China ups bid to rival Starlink as mega constellation satellite production begins. Now, we've actually covered a bunch of stuff considering, all of the experts that have talked about how bad Starlink is already going to make our skies. I can't imagine with an extra, basically double, with 1,000 more, 13,000 more satellites that are going to be floating above us. It's pretty crazy. I remember when I was a kid, you used to be able to obviously spot a satellite, and it would be kind of a rare thing. Now it's like you look up at any given moment and you can spot a satellite. You just wait until something moves and then you go, oh, satellite. It's going to be even crazier in the future because they are going to be absolutely everywhere. China's second low Earth satellite mega constellation to provide broadband internet services began production in Shanghai on Wednesday amid a push to explore potential in the space technology industry and as competition heightens with SpaceX's Starlink. The digital production plant located within the G60 Starlink industrial base, which focuses on commercial satellite production and applications and is backed by the Shanghai municipal government, produced its first commercial satellite on Wednesday, according to the authorities in the city's Xiaojiang district. It says by 2024, the factory would launch and operate at least 108 satellites to provide initial commercial services and would also build a full industry chain that can complete globally by 2027, the district government said. Would be able to compete globally by 27. That's insanity. That's 4 more years, and they will be a competitor to Starlink. This is incredible that we just keep covering these stories that is putting one of our biggest adversaries basically in the position to be a competitor to the U.S. I mean, this is a big deal. We're actually going to show you later on. There are several things that they are actually doing that is blowing the minds of government leaders around the planet. How is China doing this when supposedly they're, of course, about to fail and collapse? Pot calling the kettle, right? Well, we'll talk about it tonight, and we've got a lot more. We have actually, tonight, we're going to talk about North Korea's Kim Jong-un is preparing for war. We're going to talk about NASA launches the God of Chaos asteroid mission. We're going to talk about Lindsey Graham basically saying to blow Iran off the map. We're going to talk about Russia and Iran officially ditched the U.S. dollar. It's going there. So stick around. Today is going to be packed. So be right back. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. As always, you can go to marfooglenews.com and find a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document we're going to show you here today. That way, at your fingertips, you have the sources for all of today's news. That way, you can use it, go back retrospectively. You can grab a second device and actually follow along or read ahead. All right, guys, let's get started. First of all, just make sure to also go check out all of our wonderful mods at marfooglenews.com/friends. On our website, there's a great plethora of awesome things over there, and one of the most awesome is the Friends site. That not only has all of our mods in the very beginning, but it also has all of the creators that we have either worked with or know or believe that are great people on and off camera. So make sure to go check them out and pay them back by subscribing. Share their stuff out. They are all independent creators as well. By independent, I mean independent. Like, I don't believe I maybe there's one or two that are multi-channel network / in some sort of group, but we're all on our own. So thank you guys for being here. I appreciate everybody that goes out and grabs somebody and brings them in. That's one of the most appreciated things here. We are not served up by the platforms anymore. So thank you guys so much, and we would not grow at all without you guys. So thank you so much. Let's bring in my co/internet brother Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Fugle fam. I'm doing just fine, except for some reason I was unsubscribed. Of all people, it it unsubscribed me. Can you believe that?
No, I can believe that, and this is something we've been getting for like a month. Um, I don't know what causes it. I don't know if it's I don't know what causes that. I mean, I know I don't think some of the biggest channels have that happen. If they're favored, right? So if you can, make sure to go check that subscribe button. Make sure to check if it is fully checked, and then the bell is there, and that's checked for all notifications. It's really hard for them to unsubscribe and undo that bell. It would be grounds for, I'm sure if they ever got called out on a big scale, it would be like, oh, it's a technical glitch. But it's harder to do that way. So make sure to do that. And then, of course, check if it's broken. A lot of people push it and then they refresh and it's unsubscribed again. So if tell us if it works in the comments down below. That would be appreciated. All right. First of all, so China's constellation, right? They have now space weapons. They have all sorts of things that they're doing. Dex, as far as this constellation, going back to the video that I just did before, it's like I wonder if that could be a part of something as well. China and the U.S. are going to have this huge grid around the planet. Also, this is a side note. Some folks talked about the magnetic, magnetic protection we have around our planet. Some have worried about that magnetic protection leaving us somehow, some event that we go without it. Say a pole shift. They say that it might reset and temporarily we might lose our protection. Some say that they believed the Starlink was going to replace that during that time period, that they would have the ability to do that. I don't know. I don't think that would be true, but what if both of them are going to, make this grid around the planet, and at some point it might become some sort of planet-saving thing? Dex, what do you think about China creating essentially a competitor to Starlink? Do we need China's internet above the whole planet?
Well, I'm sure there's a couple of things I think about. One, I'm sure they're not going to necessarily be around the whole planet. If you think about what Elon did with his, he's not necessarily everywhere, but he's trying to. But he's more than likely around areas that are allied to the U.S. or places in which he does commerce with, and it would be expansive. I would easily see that they would probably not spend much time trying to sell internet services over the U.S. as they would over, say, Iran or Russia, where they would probably have a much greater chance of doing commerce with, and maybe even India for that matter, as well as other locations in Africa, South America, etc. So that's one part of it. The other thing is just we got to take into consideration what type of technology is going into these satellites, because it's not just internet. Sure, that may be one part of it. Network communications, sure, fine. But to get 13,000 satellites up there, there are so many other opportunities for them to do other types of sensors, other types of technology, and other types of things that they're not necessarily going to talk about. And that's what we got to worry about. I mean, we sort of uncover that stuff with Elon's and the thought that they said, hey, there's potentially these hypersonic, you know, capabilities on or sensors that can detect hypersonic objects on them. And that might be another capability that's on there. So it's like that example, like what is it they're going to do with these 13,000 satellites that are floating up there?
What about Neurostrike, Dex? Did you think about that? If you don't know what Neurostrike technology, that technology, this is no joke. This is not theoretical. Can control minds. Could even possibly control populations' minds. What about that, Dex? Would something like that be a scary thing?
It certainly would be. I think we'd probably have to see it at a more local level than thinking it was something that would be shot from low Earth orbit versus even the sky, or actually, at um, you know, ground level, and what the distribution of that type of technology is into other humans. So I think until we understand that, we need that. Will we be in a position to understand, is it something that could actually happen from low Earth orbit?
Yeah, it's a freaky potential. And then we have China's ocean drilling ship Mengjiang aims to be the first to reach Earth's mantle, opening gate to hell. Now, when I have pointed out some of the first that China is, it's not because I'm trying to, congratulate China. It's because I'm blown away every time that I see that China is doing the first of everything, right? I've pointed out that they are trying to directly take from the book of the U.S. of how to become number one. The Belt and Road Initiative, taken straight out of Genghis Khan's book, opening these trade routes and loaning countries and then putting them in the position where they can't pay them back, and essentially, putting them in a spot where they may be run by China at some point. On top of that, the having spies and infiltration into other countries and sowing division in other countries, and then going in afterwards and mopping it up. What's crazy to me is I feel like this is happening here in the U.S., but all of these countries that are Belt and Road Initiative, that China's building infrastructure for, if you look in their local news and in their local stories, they're actually experiencing the same exact thing. People are divided around the planet. If you haven't noticed, it doesn't matter what language the news is in or they're speaking in, there is the left-right paradigm. And many think of this as like, a U.S. thing or a U.S. and Europe thing. This is in countries that some of them are not, they don't even have a vote. They don't have Democratic and Republican parties. And it's like there's two different sides. There's this side and that side. They're causing this division across the planet because if you sow this division, it's easier to basically divide and conquer. And I feel like China is doing that. And they're also competing in all these areas. What's really nuts about this is they're saying reach Earth's mantle, opening gate to hell. Like, we're just in a crazy time right now. The vessel's stability and structure are designed to withstand the strongest tropical cyclones, enabling it to operate anywhere in global waters. Its drilling power is the best in its class, with the ability to reach 11,000 meters or 6.8 miles below the sea's surface. China's, and it says the Earth's structure consists of the core, mantle, and crust. Human activities and scientific exploration have been limited to the crust surface layer. The crust has an average thickness of 15,000 meters, minuscule compared to Earth's radius of 6,371 kilometers. The boundary between the mantle and the crust, known as the Morohover-Visick discontinuity, or MOHO, remains the final barrier for humans in exploring the mantle. Here's my thing, and here's a question I have that all of you can feel free to try to answer, is if we have never humanly ever gone down to the mantle with anything, first of all, how did they ever in science figure out we had a mantle or a core or any of these things? Are some of these things theoretical and they've tested it so many times or gone over it? It's like, if we've never been down to somewhere, how do we know what it is? Is it there's a lot of things that we're taught as fact that it's like, how do they know what the mantle is like? How do they know what temperature it's at? How do they know some of these things? You just assume that they have some sort of tool that can X-ray into the ground and tell us, but it's like, how do they even know? We found out about a year ago, there was stories that went around and they said that the Earth's mantle stopped, or the Earth's core stopped, right? It was very confusing because MSM said one thing, experts said another, YouTube experts said a third, and it was like, did the Earth's core stop? Well, they said, oh, well, there's multiple layers. How do they know that? That's the confusing thing for me. How do they know that there's multiple layers and the first layer keeps going and the second does? Is it because of physics? Is it because of something? How did they do that? Dex, go ahead.
Well, it's they used seismic wave studies. They've done them numerous times over the years, and as it gets more and more, um, I guess, higher technology. But the thing is, they compare those seismic wave studies to known entities like meteorites and other chondrites, and I guess lab experiments where they would simulate what they think different material would respond to those seismic waves. So that's, it's not, you're right.
So
They
it's
haven't
theoretical.
poured it out. Well, it's scientific, but it's not there is science behind. There is a experiment behind it and a proof behind it. So it's not a theory. It is actually, there's something behind it. It's not just I'm guessing it's this, but they haven't physically taken anything out of the core or physically taken anything out of the mantle. But they know that if you hit a seismic wave against this type of material, it will look like this on the radar. So that means that type of material is present at this layer or at this depth.
I still think so. You're saying they did seismic experiments on an asteroid or pieces of an asteroid, from that somehow got that,
or other materials,
or other what? An orange?
Chondrites.
What are chondrites?
Chondrites, they are. Well, I got to look it up. I don't know. It's parts of meteorites, small mineral granules.
So it's a meteorite.
Yeah, and then they also have other. I don't know exactly what they did, but it's all seismic wave studies. That's how they've done it for the longest time. So it's not like they've core drilled it or anything.
So kind of what I said though, like an X-ray machine. Yeah.
Yeah. If they take an X-ray of your body and see you have a heart, does that mean you don't have a heart until they cut it out and look at it? I mean,
But we've seen a heart.
It's not theory. I know.
We've cut out a heart and we've held a heart. We've never been down to the mantle ever.
Well, but we've seen, we've seen the materials.
We haven't seen other planets. We haven't seen, that's the thing.
No, I'm saying like the material that it's made out of, whether it be, I don't know what materials are in the different areas, but
there's a lot of holes,
certain types of silver, or certain types of, nickel or whatever it may be that's in the different layers. We know what those materials look like and we know what they respond to on a seismic wave.
Keisha Rao says sound waves bouncing back. I get that, but then, and there's probably some answers out there, but where do they do those sound waves from? If it's at the very, very, very bottom of the ocean, or if there's places where they can do it on the mountains down to the core, that's an extreme distance. A lot of this, if you really push the questions, they say, oh, it's got science. It's solid science, this and that. But what they're considering science in the last 100 years, a lot of it is like, you keep questioning and they're like, well, technically, they've never seen it. They've never touched it. They never did. Well, we did it and we compared it to this. So they just accept it as fact. How many things in the last 5 years and stories have I covered here where they completely just blew our minds with stuff? They're like, oh, by the way, the moon is in Earth's atmosphere. That was a huge deal. They were like, oh yeah, by the way, we actually figured out Earth is in the moon is in Earth's atmosphere. That technically there's oxygen particles 200,000 miles past the moon. What? There were certain things that have come out. It's like, we didn't know about the Cascadia subduction zone until 25 years ago. It's like, how did they... We're in such a crazy time because things have gone from 0 to 60 in 100 years. I mean, just a couple lifetimes ago, you didn't have electricity. Now you have advanced computing, AI, and super intelligence. I feel like if they do come up with super intelligence, AI, all that stuff, and they're going to start finding out secrets and things to stuff, they're going to start disproving things left and right. I feel like there's going to be an article a day essentially telling us that something we have been taught since we were born is going to change like that. They know very little about the bottom of the ocean. In fact, they say they know less about the ocean than they do about the stars, right? So there's lots of stuff we don't know about the ocean even, let alone our Earth's mantle or the core, right? They say, "Oh, well, we sent some sound waves down," but they still don't know a whole lot. And when you keep asking questions, but what's crazy is who's going to find that information out first? Apparently China, because China's got this special ship. So why is China having so many firsts? And there's several too. We didn't even post one of them. What was the other one when we were looking at the South China Morning Post? There was another first that they did. I can't remember. I don't know if you remember off the top. It's not that important, but it was another first ever. And it's like, how are they doing this? And why, they got to this big.
Yeah, I can't remember it.
We put them in the position to do that too. All of the U.S. and all of the world has been feeding money into a communist nation, and they're putting that money towards basically becoming a number one. And this is really nuts. So multiple financial executives commit the ultimate sin here amid China's financial crisis. They, bit the big one early on their own, or at least that's what the official story is. They're even saying that, this doesn't look too, some of these guys fell off of porches 40 stories high, the typical Russia story, but this is China. And apparently, as the Chinese Communist Party continues to purge its financial system, state media recently revealed that a number of bank executives have taken their own or perished suddenly. It says, according to authorities at Yingshan County, Hubei Province, Wang Shengyong, the president of the Yangtze River Village Bank in the county, perished of carbon monoxide poisoning on December 5th at the age of 54 years old. It was reported that Wang took his own after using his position to defraud depositors of 40 million won, or at least that's what they say. It says, according to the official reports, the Du Haitao, Deputy General Manager of Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, ICBC, perished of a heart attack while running on December 13th at the age of 49. It says he was the Deputy General Manager of ICBC, Credit Suisse, and Management Company. It says on December 10th, Gong Danzi, the president of Hakshui Bank's Tianjin branch, fell to his death, the local police station confirmed to the news. So he's one of those ones that fell off the porch. All these guys in a really quick succession, right? And by the way, heart attacks, what can cause heart attacks? It's arsenic. Or no, not is it arsenic? It's the other poison. The why can't I think of it? It's in all the movies. It's in all the spy movies. What are some of the other poisons?
Ricin?
No, not anthrax, nothing like that. It's a really common. Is it arsenic? It's oh geez. Anybody want to pop in and chat with it too? Gosh, dang it. It's important to know which one, because it's something that you have to have a license. Jewelry, gold jewelers actually use it. Cyanide. Thank you. Cyanide can actually look, if somebody has cyanide given to them, that can actually have the same symptoms of a heart attack. It can basically do the same thing. And a lot of the times, say if it is a heart attack caused by cyanide, that it's not actually, unless they do an extra test, that they're not going to find it. And I'm sure if they wanted to keep it on the low. But why are all of these bank executives essentially, offing themselves or jumping off bridges, whatever else? What is the deal with that? If you have any interesting side theories, then let me know. But I feel like there's something going on. Not only have they cleared out parts of their government, they've done this, that. Xi is doing something big. He's making big moves right now. You never underestimate your enemy, and you should definitely not take him as all bark, no bite. There are major, major actions being taken. And we don't, you could say, oh, if it's in MSM, it's fake. Well, MSM told us that they have now told us that China has hacked into our critical infrastructure. That should be an act of war by itself. Like they are declaring publicly that China hacked into our critical infrastructure. How do we just keep going business as usual with a country that has committed one of the worst crimes against us, gotten into our most critical infrastructure, and we're just like, oh yeah, it's normal, normality at this point that your adversaries and the people you do business with are constantly trying to screw you over. I mean, it's really crazy. If you put it in a kind of a different analogy, it's like if you were doing business with somebody, or a restaurant was buying bread from, or a restaurant was buying bread from a private company or something, and that private company was constantly like breaking their windows, or going into their back door and stealing stuff, and you just keep doing business with them, and you're friendly with them, like, hey Bob, I'm just fixing this window you broke last week. I don't get it. Dex, do you have a theory about why these guys are just disappearing?
Well, we've seen other people disappear from the government, and we know that they're having such a financial crisis. It's not surprising to see that they could be disappeared, whether they do it themselves or someone else is doing it because of maybe some of the actions that have happened. And when Xi had a lot of egg on his face with his financial stuff, so maybe that was part of it. Maybe they needed to do some house cleaning.
Huh. Bank presidents died due to pressure. In 2023, at least 96 financial executives have fallen from grace, and 38 people have been investigated in 5 major state-owned banks. Huh. The perishing of bank presidents show that the central authority doesn't take responsibility anymore. Whoever lends out the money is responsible. What a scary place to have your money in. Dex, go ahead.
But the other side is the information that comes out of that country is controlled and contained, and we've seen as that financial crisis got worse that they started to pull back and not share information so that we wouldn't know exactly what was going on. And we sort of speculated that things were bad, but maybe they were really worse than we were able to know. And if you go back to times like our Great Depression and other times, we saw high numbers of people do this type of thing when it was really bad. And so maybe it's really, really bad, but they're just not allowing that information out.
And that wouldn't be a good thing either, because if they are really bad, if they're a country with a really, really big military, then they could make up that deficit some other way, say taking what they need. They've been stockpiling. The thing that concerns me is how crazy they are with stockpiling food, gold, natural gas, resources. It really seems like they're getting prepared to have major sanctions, and they're going to be the pariah of the West, right? But at the same time, they're meeting with all of our adversaries. It seems like it's going to be split down the middle. Once World War III officially starts, where it gets hot, they are still going to do fine without the Western countries. They've been getting prepared for it. At least that's my opinion on it. Somebody made a great point. Says China blames us, we blame China. Meanwhile, secretly, they're all working together. I believe there is some real telltale signs that that's correct. Or you could look at it as China is paying certain people here to be on their side and play both sides, double agent kind of people. Some people believe that our president is actually one of those people, and many others. What's crazy is in 2020, if you believe a certain thing happened not the way it should have happened, that would take a lot of money to do what was said possibly happened. It would take one of the hugest operations in human history to have something like that happen across the United States, all at the same time. And then the people you would have to pay off to keep that down it is so crazy that's why people don't believe it. But who knows? By the way, thank you. Somebody said, was that Alex Hawkins? Alex Hawkins. If you do email me, put in the subject line Seattle. Then I will know. But let's see here. Let's go over to that real quick. And thank you, Dangerous. It's great. I just watched a movie called Dangerous with I said, man, this guy looks really familiar, but I don't know. I've never seen him in a movie. But it was Clint Eastwood's son. Scott Eastwood looks exactly like his dad. It's crazy. If you've seen that movie, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Or any of his movies. I didn't realize that was Clint Eastwood's son. He looks exact. Dex, have you seen Scott Eastwood? If you look up pictures of him,
I think I've seen a picture of him because he looks like his dad, right?
As
you were saying,
it's
like
crazy.
a younger version. Yeah,
it's like going back in time. He's got the same squint. He's got the same look exactly. Talk about being blessed by your parents' genetics. And then B-Roll Beast, thank you so much for yesterday. I appreciate your support. Mystery School, ACSW, thank you so much early on in the show. Marfoogle at Dex, can't we get an update on the little progress of the Cascadia doc? I've been dying to see it. ACSW, I do have a lot done on that, but I've given a warning and I talked to people a couple weeks ago because somebody said, oh, what about your Cascadia doc? You haven't put it out and blah, blah, blah. And you said somebody else did a doc and they never put it out. You're a hypocrite. The person I was talking about back then took funding. They did a full on, what do you call it? Not Kickstarter. They did
crowdfunding.
Crowdfunding. They crowdfunded tens of thousands of dollars for a documentary. They even put out a little trailer to say, this is what we're working on. They took that money. They never did the documentary. It's been 5-6 years since. I put money towards that documentary and there's still no documentary. And then like within a couple weeks of just going quiet, then all of a sudden they had a big old truck and a bunch of stuff. It's like, that's BS. My documentary, first of all, a lot of work goes into a documentary or a movie. And definitely when I first started it, I was gung-ho about it and thought, oh, this is something easy. First of all, it's not easy to make a movie. Usually documentaries have a whole staff of hundreds. I'm doing it by myself. So all the locations that I've gone to over the last 2.5 years, some regular movies with staffs of hundreds take 3, 4, 5 years. I'm doing it by myself. All of the locations, I have to get the funds and go there and actually pay to do it all myself, which I have done over the last 3 years. I've interviewed people in 3 different states. I've done quite a bit on it, and I have tons and tons of stuff. Just how much work it is absolutely crazy. So I stopped making promises of when it's coming out. I did feel like I could put out like little chunks of it, but it would be lame. It would be like put out a 4-minute chunk, then put out another 8-minute chunk, whatever else. And I'm sure people would be happy with that, but I would not be. So it is coming. But also, I would like to say, when I started that documentary, nobody else talked about Cascadia. Now there's been tons and tons of buzz around it. Everybody knows about it, or at least around the world. What's crazy to me, and you'll see this in it eventually, is how many people that are in the cities that will literally be underwater do not know that it exists, how little that the police know about it, how little the plans are actually put in place. You think, oh, Cascadia Rising, these drills with 500,000 people involved, they're totally prepared. There is no plan for almost all of the little towns that are actually going to be affected. Little towns, populations of 5,000 that during summer have 500,000 people in them. You have a tsunami that wipes it out, 30-minute road out. When it's 15 minutes until the wave gets there, that means they're all dead. It's absolutely crazy. Even the highest point in Ocean Shores is a tower that maybe 2 or 3 people could climb up. That's going to be underwater. That's the crazy part about the tsunami that's going to hit. So yes, it is coming. And thank you so much for asking about it. And thank you guys for caring about it enough to ask. So yeah, and two of the people we wanted to get on did not get on, but either way, I did get somebody on that I never thought I would get on at interview. So thank you so much, and I appreciate you caring for it. I also didn't take funding for it. I have paid out of pocket for everything I've done, including all the camera gear, everything. So thank you guys, and just hang tight, okay? It would really be awesome if I had a local editor. If there's somebody in Seattle that wants to go through it and help me put it together, I would love you. I have two 2-terabyte drives full of stuff. And then ripple effect, China has more debt than USA. China is, and they wrote it like that, China has more debt than USA. I don't know what you're quoting, but you're probably right. They say that they are collapsing. If that is correct, and that's not a good thing for anybody else, though, because they'll probably go to war. Wang committed Chung that night. Rest in peace. Jerry Shirts, thank you. Junior Shirts, 99. Thank you. Alex Hawkins, hey, Adam, my family's taking a trip to Alaska in early July. We have a 2-hour layover in Seattle. I would love to meet you. I will email you. 2 hours is a really short time. I mean, that would be a meeting at the airport or around the airport, but email me, tell me what the deal is, and who knows, maybe it might end up being a longer layover. Alex, I've met other people at the airport, and I've met other Foogle fam that have been swinging through town. So yeah, email me and put the subject line Seattle, and thank you for your support. And then ripple effect, why do they open the gates? Why the hell do they open the gates of hell? Yeah, that's my question too. All right, and then China's military lashes out at U.S. after breakthrough talks. So we'll go over that in just a second. But before we do, I do want to remind you guys, make sure to go over and check out marfooglenews.com/EMP. Right now, more than ever, I think that people really are starting to realize that as far as the risks that are upon us with China hacking into our infrastructure, with all of the different threats of hacks, not only from Iran, but other adversaries, it would be a very, very smart thing to do to get protection from two of the main things that may happen. On top of being at the peak of the solar cycle 25 and possibly the most unpredictable solar cycle in our lifetimes, you can protect yourself from CME and protect yourself against all three phases of an EMP with this device. It's an EMP shield. It takes about 10 minutes to put into your car, red to red on your battery, black to black on your battery, and of course, green to ground to a part of your frame, and you're done. Just need to bolt it to the side of open spot in there, and then your car is protected against all three phases of an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. This company, when we started with them, they didn't have all of the crazy contracts they do now. After we started with them, the U.S. government and T-Man, Trump actually did an executive order to harden our grid. He went into a room. They showed him the data on it, and he said, holy crap. And he said, like, why haven't we done anything about this? And he immediately did an executive order to harden the grid. That was after the DHS resilience report that essentially told every American to have 6 months to a year worth of food because of the risk of a nationwide grid down. If the grid goes down, it will take 2 years to come back up. And that's like generous if our supply chain, global supply chain is all going. So again, this is after that, they ended up picking up the DOD, DHS is now getting EMP shield involved in stuff. So they've worked with a bunch of agencies. If the government is preparing, so should we. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. It's a veteran-owned company. They make them by hand. And again, every piece of it is made in the USA. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP for your car, your truck, your motorcycles, boats, houses, solar systems, and of course, even RVs and vans alike. So make sure to go check it out, marfooglenews.com/EMP, and make sure to use the code MARF for $50 off and to help us out. It helps our independent news, and it will protect you at the same time. And then China's military lashes out U.S. after breakthrough talks. Dex, do you want to tell us what happened with this whole thing?
Yeah, so now that we've actually had our first talks, which I think happened a couple days ago, we reported on it when they finally broke the silence and we had the military speak to one another. The defense ministry is actually coming out in China and making some pretty critical statements, specifically saying that that we're meddling in the Asia Pacific region, and that saying that we're maintaining a Cold War mindset. I think is specifically the quote is the United States continues to strengthen its Asia Pacific developments. This is full of a Cold War mindset. So that's coming from Wu Qian. They said that on Thursday. They also said that the goal is for its own selfish gains and to maintain the hegemony. Its nature is to stoke confrontation. So, pretty harsh words. Obviously, there was no love created in that first phone call, if or even friendly words, probably. But I keep going back to we know what Xi's plans are as it relates to Taiwan. We can see the writing on the wall that America is building up to do something either offensively or defensively in the Pacific because they know they need to with the allies. That being Philippines, Japan, South Korea, building out areas in Guam and other locations in Japan, etc. Um, we know that something is coming in that region. We absolutely know something's coming with Taiwan. It's just a matter of what's going to happen around it. Is it going to be an event with North Korea or something in the South China Sea with the Philippines, or both at the same time, which would split sort of the north and the south of the Pacific region, so it's easy for China to go right into the middle and take Taiwan.
Which is it brings us to our next story. Xi Jinping says Taiwan will surely be reunified with China during symposium commemorating Mao, uh, who of course ruled before. So, he's said several things over the years where everybody knows they are going to get Taiwan one way or another. Whether it is successful or not really comes down to if the U.S. is going to go to full-on war with them, or Japan or somebody else steps in. Japan says that they will go. They don't want China to have Taiwan. When you look at China, Taiwan is a buffer as well for the sea and for the whole area, or for the Pacific. China owns Taiwan, say takes it over just like it did Hong Kong. That extends China out into areas that none of those other countries want China to have control over. It also then that puts them in total control of the Taiwan Strait. I mean, it's no good news. Not to mention, of course, the chips factories that are there. But we see signs that like JB is already. It seems like they're already kind of giving in. It's almost like they're contemplating saying, "Oh yeah, shortly we won't have TSMC." He said in a speech, this was about a year and a half ago, he said on the speech, he goes, by the way, get ready for everything to be made in America again. Like, why did he say that? And then after he said that, he had the guy from Dell or no, it was Intel stand up and everybody applauded him and talked about how we are going to be making semiconductor chips in the U.S. Why are we doing that? Now, it's a smart thing to do anyways. But it sounds like they're already kind of writing off Taiwan like it's going to be a part of China. Are they making backdoor deals? Is JB on the payroll or something? I don't know. A lot of people think so, and a lot of people think that a lot of our politicians are on their payroll. Talk about the money that these politicians make normally versus what they make with insider trading and backdoor deals, the laws that they create, corporations paying them, or just in general, them leaving their position to go work for these companies that have been involved in changing our life every step of the way for the last 5 years. I mean, this has been going on forever. Politicians and everybody stepping out of the limelight of, politics and going straight into a CEO position at these huge companies. It happens all the time. It's a revolving door, they call it, or a big farm. That's another area that they go into. Well, my question for this is, how are they surely going to be reunified? Do they already know something when the next president gets put in Taiwan? By the way, Dex, can you look up when is the Taiwanese the next president going into place? It's coming really soon. Is that January?
It was January 15th, I believe, off of my memory, but I can look it up, with the exact date.
I know. I think you're right. I'm pretty sure it's January 14th or January 15th. So, and the reason why that's important is when they do that day, one of the persons, the VP is possibly going to be taking the reins, or somebody else, whoever that person is. If they are not pro Taiwan staying independent, or if they are, publicly pro Taiwan, but privately they're actually going to go, oh, by the way, we're going to sign papers and we're going to absorb back into China. That's going to be a huge deal. It's going to change the world. China's already way too powerful. And some would say, well, what's wrong with China being so powerful? Why can't they, who's to say the US should be on? I get these comments all the time. Well, who's to say that China shouldn't rule the world? I don't know. The people that know what communism is, like the people that know what kind of rule that Chinese people are under. The Chinese people themselves are an amazing people, just like every other people on this planet. We're all human beings. But their government is the problem. The way they rule their country, the way they track and trace people, the way they do social credit scores, it's horrific. And what's sad is our United States is turning into the same thing. And that's what makes me wonder that if they are already infiltrated in all these areas, because our country is starting to look like that. And it's not just a cliche thing. You are seeing us getting tracked and traced. Social credit score is starting to become a thing. Deplatforming, all these things, the trusted news, initiatives and things like this. All of these things are starting to really look pretty communist-ish, right? And it's what they're saying is coming in the next 7 years is even worse. So I don't know how this is going to go down, but we know you don't have to have a crystal ball to say that something is going to happen to Taiwan really soon. Dex, do you want to go over North Korea and what's happening there?
Yeah, certainly. So, we continue to see the behavior and what he's doing and the actions he's taking. We've talked about the different nuclear plants that have spun up and the potential creation of more nuclear weapons or material for those nuclear weapons. And we've also seen the rhetoric, and I guess that's sort of what we're getting at here with the rhetoric that's coming out of them. And now we're sort of saying that it's unprecedented. So as it says here, that they're saying the United States is citing unprecedented confrontational activity by the U.S. and its allies. So, Kim is not happy. He was speaking at a planning meeting on Wednesday, and with the Workers' Party. He's going to continue to throw this rhetoric around. I think the big question is, where does it go? When does it move away from, just the traditional Kim that we're used to for so many years, just saying outlandish things, to him going and getting things more heated. And I'm not just talking, launching the occasional test, drill or test missile here and doing drills and that. I'm talking, actually doing something significant. And I feel like we're closer to that than we've ever been before. That's my personal opinion. And I think that's why we sort of have to take the rhetoric maybe a little bit more seriously now as it comes from him. And it's really, when you look at the global theater, so to speak, when you look at the dynamics with Russia right now, the dynamics with China right now, and what's happening, all along we said, hey, North Korea will probably be some sort of puppet or play some sort of role. So it's going to happen eventually. But I think that eventually is sort of now. It's coming to that precipice. And I think, while you can certainly just throw away this as just his talking, he likes to talk, he always says big things. I think we actually have to take it a little bit more seriously now, given the state of everything else that's around him.
And the U.S. military and South Korea have done drills relating to a hypothetical scenario where they do a surprise attack, and they compared it directly to what Hamas did to Israel. So they're setting up for a potential event like that where, North Korea surprises South Korea with artillery shells. So that's how they set that drill. So who knows? They might be planning some fantastic Freddy. All right, and then let's go on. Sorry, I'm sneezing like crazy. Something dust is in the air. Um, and then Japan likely to send first astronaut to the moon under U.S.-led project. Of course, mentioning the Artemis program. Dex, could you cover this one too? I got the sneezes like crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. So you get this. So we've talked quite a bit about the Artemis project. 2025 is when they're shooting to get, or they're targeting to get to shoot the astronauts into space. Yeah, that's actually what they're going to do, to actually try to land on the moon again. We haven't done that since way back when, if we even did it way back then, as many people like to question that. But get this, Japan is jockeying right now for a seat. They want one of their astronauts, and it's probably going to happen because we're working closely with them, to have the one of the non-US astronauts on that mission come from Japan. So that's what they're shooting for, is to get a Japanese astronaut to be among those first to land on the moon. So we'll see. Part of the continuation of the cooperation, if you want to call it that, between Japan and the US. We have pretty good relations anyway, but it seems like we've been doing a lot with them lately. Everything from the military to now space.
Yeah, we're doing all sorts of military deals now that they're an offensive country and not a defensive country. Oh, yeah, almost got me that time. But FYI, if you didn't know too, I've been off and on. I don't even know if it's off and on. It's been like I'm been sick for like a month and a half, and it's not like a bad sickness. It's just like a hanging over your head sickness that is just lasting and lasting and lasting. I never got tested for the sieve, because it doesn't feel like anything like that, but um it has just been, and a lot of people are saying this too. Everybody's getting the regular FLU. Um and it's just like, gosh, my I've been talking about it too during the jams. My ears are so clogged up, and it's like I need to have them popped, like if you're driving over the pass or something and you need to pop your ears. I've had to do that like 40 times a day. It's really bad. And I'm like tone deaf. It affects your voice, it affects everything. So I appreciate those who said you'd pray for me. I really appreciate that. But I believe that there's probably more important things to pray about, since I'm doing just fine. But it is really annoying. And then if you haven't already, make sure to go check out marfooglenews.com/prep. If you don't have food in your pantry, this is the time to do it. There are really just so many different routes that the world is going down right now that are uncertain. So if you really do want to protect yourself against a food shortage, or again, not being able to go to the store and, having empty shelves and all of the other things that happen during CV, I can only imagine if we have a real disaster, like a global disaster, it would be horrendous. Most people have an average of 3 days of food in their fridge, which is absolutely crazy. So make sure to go over and check this out. They have freeze-dried food that's going to last 25 years. They have huge packages. The more bulk you go, the more money you save, especially with their code. But they have kits, small kits. You can get a 72-hour kit for a go bag. You can get a 3-month kit that is going to be a giant discount. You can get a month kit. They rotate all of their sales. So if you're watching the replay, depending on when you watch this, you could get $200 off on a 3-month. You could get 25%. You could get a different off of the 1 month. So make sure to go check the current sale every time when you watch. And then, by the way, they also have all sorts of other stuff there. So go check it out. It helps support us. We are trying to do our best on our own. So we don't have a multi-channel network. We have the Mafia. So thank you guys. More so though, please share us out. That helps us more than anything. Share us with somebody that hasn't seen us yet. Bring everybody, especially interesting people. Bring everybody you can. We like all different views and opinions. And then NASA launches mission to intercept. Oh man, I'm about to sneeze again. Sorry guys. Ah. Whew. Ah. And it doesn't help. I've got a little light here. I learned this when I was a kid, and I always thought it was fascinating that if you have to sneeze, if you look into a light, it helps. Something about the photons or something. But it doesn't help when you're trying to do it. And then NASA launches a mission to intercept God of Chaos asteroid. This is Apophis, okay? They're basically launching the same one that's been out, which is Osiris Rex. Now it is Osiris Apex. I've talked about this for years, and I was really kind of blown away when they said that Osiris Rex was going to turn into Osiris Apex. So it went from Bennu, grabbing samples from Bennu, to now it's going to be grabbing samples from Apophis. Apophis is supposed to come extremely close, within 20,000 miles of Earth. The United States is 3,000 miles across. I mean, like, that's insane. They say it's going to be, it may be within and under some of our geosynchronous satellites. So that is, I don't see how a huge thing like this could be that close and not do some sort of damage. I don't see how, if they say, if it's that close, that gravity's not going to pull it in and it's going to hit something. But maybe they know it's going to hit or something and they're just not telling us. I don't know. But if you're interested in asteroid stuff and asteroid theory, an asteroid may actually be coming and going to hit us already, then definitely watch the video I just put out on news. That is my side theory that something may be going on. I really feel like, on top of all the other crazy stuff going on right now, that maybe they know about something that we don't. Oh, and for one thing I want to add to that previous video is Dex and I talked to a woman. Dex, can you explain what that woman said? Do you remember? We vetted her too thoroughly.
Oh yeah, she did. You talking about the lady who did? She did, like, audited the records and stuff like that for the federal government. Specifically, worked in the FEMA area, not for FEMA, but as an independent, and was auditing stuff, and it included like millions and millions and millions of dollars for debris cleanup, and then it was told, or it was allocated for something about a gas giant or something coming in.
Class two gas giant.
Gas giant coming in and near the Earth, or causing a lot of debris to fall.
Yeah, and it's something that may be on a regular basis. They're putting money towards space debris cleanup from something from a class 2 gas giant. This is the papers that came across, and apparently, and the job that they had, the position that they had, this was like one of the most serious things we ever got information on. It was like, whoa. And we didn't just say, oh yeah, we believe you. For what it was, we asked, and if she said no, we would have took no, but she vetted her job, her badges, all of her stuff, and on demand, like within 5 minutes, had everything ready. And she was more concerned about what was happening next. She was more concerned about what's going on. So that's another thing that I should have put in that video, and I didn't. There's a lot of stuff too, and then some of the comments that we've gotten over the years, some of the emails that I've gotten, some the gentleman in the military that said that they are actually they have contingency plans, and he said that they just keep going over the same contingency plans regarding smaller asteroids hitting Earth. New York City doing drills. Did you know that New York City did a mock simulation of evacuating all of New York because of an asteroid? Like, that's freaking weird. Just saying. But yeah, and by the way, that failed. That drill failed horribly, and they wouldn't be able to get the 9 million people out in time. But I'm sure that one I'm going to get a lot of crap for. People are going to give me a lot of crap for that. But that is, all of us have a crazy theory, and I bet you there's a theory that you have that you don't tell your friends and family. Even if you are that crazy person in your family, there's probably a theory or two that you keep to yourself. That you just don't. And I just told you guys mine. So you can make fun of me all you want, but it would be nice if you just didn't. Thanks. Again, thank you, ACSW, Ripple Effect, Jerry Shirts, Alex Hawkins. Thank you guys for supporting tonight. Thank you guys over on D Live. Let's do a quick roll call. We have the time. It's a beautiful day out. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Let's do a roll call. Where are you from? And you can just do a general state, and it helps the Foogle fam find other folks that are around them, already have something in common. Obviously, if you just want to do a state or province, you don't have to be specific. No way from Waco. We've got Sven Niacin from mid-Michigan. Nice to see you. Never heard the theory. I'm surprised. People were saying, had the bumper stickers, Asteroid 2024 or something. Bellingham, Washington, Queen BTP. I have some really positive memories about Bellingham. What a college town. Of that pizza place. I forget if it's called Pipeline Pizza or something. It's basically the only one of the places that everybody would hang out, all the college kids. I just that whole area. I just remember one night walking down the street trying to find my friend's house, and it was like there was party, and basically people were just walking from party to party, and it was okay. It was definitely an experience in itself. Danish Girl, Nebraska. Marfoogle Barn Brewing said, thank you so much for putting your video up for the Christmas video. I didn't get a chance to thank you yet, so thank you. And what a cool bar you have. Like, that's super cool. Gem Cat, thank you. Most Unclean. We've got Gem Cat from Westport. FEMA Region 10, Inquiring Minds. Nice to see you. So that's us, right? And then China and North Korea share a very huge volcano. Its lake provides water and it's active. Kathy Piana. I might be missing some context. What is that something is that a bad thing, good thing? And then Port Townsend, Washington. Whiskey's mom says, come on, hit the like button. Thank you. I never ask you guys to do that. If you do want to hit the like, that would be spectacular. Numero Uno Pizza in LA is the best. Perry's Pizza. You guys, I didn't eat dinner yet. I'm hungry. Let's see here. Your like matters. Likes matter. Yeah. What is it? Red likes matter. Northwest Missouri. Thank you. FEMA regions are 100% real. Yes, that is true. Bellingham is a suburb of Canada. That's funny. DuPont, Washington. What's happening? Tulsa, Oklahoma in the house. James, nice to see you. And Gail King from Maryland. La Nova Pizza. Idaho here. We've got Nova Scotia. We've got Baltimore. Detroit. Come get some. All likes matter. Yes, they do. Thank you guys. All right. And then Chandler, Arizona. Central Florida. Phildo Young. David Keys. Covington, Washington. Nice to see a local from Washington. Cincinnati, Ohio. South Street. What's happening? Indiana Hoosier. And everybody else. Thank you guys so much for popping in. Chewy Weather, Tall Corn, Arto, LAPD SWAT. Of course, if you were watching the replay and if you don't like the shout outs or the roll call, that's why you can always fast forward. But I would suggest not. You get to know the community. All right, and Iran declares war on U.S. in Red Sea and beyond as Biden does nothing. Dex, do you want to go over this? It's scary headline,
It
but
certainly is. So this is in the New York Post. It is sort of an editorial piece, but at the same time, and technically they say no, there's not actually been an open declaration, but at the same time, look at all what has gone on. You know, this axis of resistance, as they've been self-dubbed, as they've named themselves, has been moving against the U.S. assets and the interests with deepening intensity. And at the same time, like you look at our leadership, and they've done an absolute minimal amount. Like, you know, we allow the Navy to defend itself, and that's about it. We've occasionally struck back when ground troops have been hit in other Middle Eastern regions, but even those strikes are not significant. They're very light. They're very, you know, small. We're intentionally trying not to show do anything that shows significant strength for fear of we might get into a conflict. Now, I question, does that mean our administration's scared that we can't actually effectively deal with this threat? Are we just going to sit around and take it, or how? You know, we supposed to just sit here and just keep getting pummeled left and right? Unfortunately, we're not taking massive hits that are hurting us, but at the same time, like it's not. You know, what other strong military is just going to sit there and allow anybody to shoot at them over and over and over again and not respond and not just say, you know
do
what,
you see
enough's
what's
enough.
happening?
You know, you take it out, you're done. Like we're not the big bad military that we are. You know, we certainly aren't acting like it.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Do you think we should get over there and do it and fight back?
Well, I don't think it requires I don't think it requires a full scale escalation, but as we've seen in the past with former leaderships, you can do some significant damage and get people to sort of back off. But right now, I think they look at us as weak and look, and they continue to say, "Look what we can get away with. We'll just keep doing it."
I think that this has been purposeful. They've been pointing out almost on a daily basis, oh, there were 16 attacks on US. They've done 24, 38, 58, 75 attacks. They've made sure now it's up to 100 attacks on US soldiers. And somehow in 100 attacks, we still have not had a single soldier perish. And he has done nothing. Now we have op-eds. We have huge MSMs saying, they're attacking us left and right, and we're not doing anything. Then the rage comes. Civilians read this. They go, why aren't we doing anything? Go to war. We need a war in Iran. We need to go strike back. Strike into Iran. Then guess what? They just accomplished where people are asking them for us to do something about it, asking for a war with Iran. I think that's like the best scenario for them. There's a lot of people that know this, but US wants to change out regime in Iran. They want Iran and the resources there. They want to be able to control that area. I don't know. I kind of see it as it's been set up, and I said this over the 100 articles saying 75 attacks, 80 attacks, 100 attacks. This is my opinion. I think it's going to get even the most hardened skepticals to go, why aren't we doing anything? And they're going to go, well, okay, we'll do, we're just trying to make you guys happy. We're going to go to war with Iran. Or we'll do something. We'll strike. And then that escalates. Then that escalates. Then that escalates. Then we're in a full-on war with Iran. But guess what? Iran's then with North Korea, South Korea, North Korea, Russia, China, Venezuela, Cuba. It's like, I feel like this has been set up. I feel, and I bet you $10, not each, because somebody will probably be able to get a lawyer and be like, no, he bet me $10, so he's got $10 that in the next 2 weeks, there's going to be more people and more MSM calling for us to either do something about it or go to war. I think they want a war with Iran, but that's just my opinion, and tell me why I'm wrong, and I'm sure there's some very educated people out there that could tell me exactly why I'm wrong. I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I do see a pattern here that now people are mentally going to the spot where they're like, wait, why aren't we doing something? That's what I see. And then Lindsey Graham is saying we should hit Iran, blow it off the map. But this, it's Lindsey Graham. It's a circus. And Lindsey Graham is on the same aisle as the aisle I relate to. But I'll tell you this. I see both wings being of the same bird. The left and the right paradigm is a bunch of BS because all of these guys are getting paid off by corporations. The same corporation is paying off both sides of the aisle. So they may say things that you're like, yeah, I believe in that too. But then they turn around and they do these backdoor deals with these corporations. They help them pass laws, they help them pass bills, and they screw you over. They're screwing us over left and right. When I see Lindsey Graham or Josh Hawley, which a lot of people like Josh Hawley, you can like whoever you want. I like Josh Hawley when he's talking about, there's certain things like when he was talking about the Facebook thing and pointing to it. He is a great actor. He could be in Hollywood, for God's sakes. The guy is great at going on the stand and pointing out. And I'm not saying what he's saying is wrong. Like the things he points out. My point is that these politicians, when they grandstand like this, it's equivalent to a play. Here's a point I want to make. Lindsey Graham has a reputation for this, right? If you look up Lindsey Graham yelling, almost every day at work, he's doing this to somebody. Okay, same with Josh Hawley. If you're looking up for pictures of people, like for thumbnails and stuff, I go, man, I looked up Lindsey Graham yelling. There's like 1 billion pictures of him pointing or yelling or doing this. How many people go into their office every day and go, ah? It's like this is the circus that a lot of people are trained not to see. If it's confirmation if it's somebody on their side, they don't see it. But if it's on the other side, they point it out. I see both sides of it, and I think there's a lot of fake politicians that are currently working for or going to get a job at these corporations. The same corporations that are destroying our lives. The same corporations that stayed open while our Ma and Pa's got shut down during CV. That's the problem I have, is a lot of people are just totally missing it, because if that person is saying what they believe, they go, oh, yeah, and he's so, yeah, oh, I totally applaud him. I get that. But I don't trust any of them as far as I can throw them. When Josh Hawley did his Facebook thing, when he did he called out the DHS thing because the woman posted some stuff. She was in charge of migrant stuff, and she said she supported this or free this or free that, and said, "Have you fired him?" How not? They always set up these things to go viral, where they're like, "Have you fired him?" No, answer my question. Every video is the same. I only have 5 minutes. I conceded my time. I only have 5 minutes. Ask yes or no question. And every time they set it up so they're, of course, not going to answer the question. And they're going to say, no, you won't do it. And they set them in a spot. By the end of it, you believe what they're the side that they're on. I only see that from really the right side, really. I think that's because the left really doesn't have a gotcha moment, but that's just my opinion. He's saying, and this is kind of like the Russian TV going, we need to blow New York off the map. That's how he's looked at around the world. The comments from around the world from people outside the U.S., they're like, this guy's full of smoke. But he is in the right people's ears where he's saying, blow, Iran off the map. It says the South Carolina Republican said he urged Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, because he's in his ear, not to show weakness. Keyword. This keyword is being put across the news. Catch the patterns. Catch what is being programmed here. We are now weak. And exactly like Dick said, we are looking really weak right now. And we've been weak for a while. Whereas like our last president, it's like when the whole North Korea thing was going on, he says we'll bring down fire and fury. We'll wipe you off the map. And I believe Kim Jong-un believed him. Like, I believe that. It says more missiles were fired by Iran-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen in the Red Sea on Wednesday, according to U.S. Central Command. There are millions of people around the country that now because he said this, they agree with it. He said it with passion. And anything with passion, they're going to go, yeah, that guy's right. We need to blow it off the map. Now people are going to be calling for it to be blown off the map. This just goes further into my point that I think they are getting prepared for a war with Iran. More Middle East wars. Personally, I think, it's obvious what's going to happen. 93% of the time the United States has existed since we were, made the United States. Hundreds of years have gone by. 93% of the time we have been in a major war. 7% of the whole time we've been in the United States, we've been war free. So do you think that another one's not coming right on the heels of the last? I don't. Dex, do you want to talk about Lindsey Graham, but then further, the next story, Iranian guards vow revenge. This is exactly what you said the other day.
Enough's been said about Lindsey. Sheesh, that guy. The guards, the Iranian guards are vowing. They came out and said they're going to actually vow revenge. So we're going to expect to see something. This is for the general that was taken out in Syria when Israel launched a strike. I believe it was on Monday. So there was a lot of talk. There was a lot of things happening since then. On Monday, there was a lot of it was all over their media. It was a big deal to them to lose this general. So it's definitely a big deal, a big hit on their part, at least, from a PR point of view, to the rest of not only the citizens in Iran, but also the rest of them that are outside in the rest of the countries that look to them and that they support through their networks, so to speak, right? So they're going to respond. That's what they're saying it, but now we'll have to see what it is. Of course, the other thing they said is it's not just at Israel, it's also their supporters. So its allied groups would take a quote direct action against them. So that would be us. So it's going to be us and is.
I mean, it seems like it's pretty obvious patterns. Hey, thank you, Fernando. I appreciate that. And then James Garcia, Courtly James, thank you for being here. Truth Iris, thank you. Mr. E, Venezuela, hyperinflation, escalating starvation, disease, crime, and mortality rates, and cannibalism. Whoa, where does the cannibalism come from? American organ, at some point, Iran will stop barking and just bite. You very well may be right. And now they have nuclear weapons. Why is North Korea making nuclear fuel? Are they going to use that to help other, are they doing that for themselves? I feel like North Korea might be the first one to launch like a tactical something or other, be a fantastic Freddy to start it off, but we can only speculate. And before we go to the next piece, I just want to remind you, energy has come in clutch so many times. If you don't have a backup generator, or if you have a gas generator and have been looking into solar, highly recommend going and getting yourself an energy. It's again modular and it's expandable. Just like Legos, you can add bricks that not only add either battery and longevity to how long you have power for, but you can also add mods that say change the charging speed. In fact, you can get the UPS rapid charger right now that not only turns it into an uninterrupted power supply, meaning that if you plug your fridge into this into the wall, if your power goes out, it will automatically switch over. Boom, it will keep it going. Not only will it do that, but it will rapidly charge each battery in about 40 minutes. That's 1,000-watt battery charged in 40 minutes. That's like cell phone charging time, but this battery is a whole lot bigger. And that's plugged into the wall. As far as you can also get a mod that helps it, you can get the supercharger, which allows it to take in 12 solar panels instead of 4, therefore tripling your charge time or, again, bringing in more power. So make sure to go to marfugglenews.com/energy. This is the same generator company that now the Army is choosing. In fact, the Flex Tactical is their new, basically the most tactical, the most tough, Army tough, in fact. This has built-in heater batteries, a steel reinforced frame, a 1,500-pound latch system. It's dust and water resistant. This thing is absolutely mind-blowingly tough. This one is going to be a little bit of a longer wait. Everybody really, really wants this one. But I will tell you this, the regular system, now they have different attachments, and they're coming out with different attachments so you can mix and match the batteries. I think that the regular version is going to be great for 99% of our audience. So go check it out, marfooglenews.com/energy. You will get a huge discount, and you'll be helping our channel at the same time. Solar is great because it's silent, and it is also free. Once you get yourself some solar panels, you've got unlimited power coming from the sun, and you don't have to deal with gas stations during a SHTF situation. Not only that, can it be protected by an EMP shield? They make one directly, specifically for this, and it is absolutely quiet, and nobody will know you have it. You can be a gray man. You can bring it anywhere. You don't have an extension cord. You can bring it to work. You can, a million uses. It's power, for gosh sakes. Take it camping. Power your campsite. marfooglenews.com/energy. And then Russia and Iran. If there's not a bigger sign that you're about to go to war with somebody, I would say when it affects the currency, Russia and Iran officially ditch US dollar for trade. Which is no surprise. I mean, like, is anyone surprised by this? I'm not. But it's so crazy that you can be adversaries, you can have all this stuff going on, but they're still going to use the dollar, right? Well, apparently they're saying that they're not. Russia and Iran have finalized an agreement to trade in their local currencies instead of the US dollars, Iran state media has reported. Banks and economic actors can now use infrastructures, including non-SWIFT interbank systems, to deal in local currencies, Iran bank state has declared. Moscow has lately been cozying up to Tehran, with Iran revealing in November it will provide Russia with Su-35 fighter jets, Mi-28 attack helicopters, and Yak-130 pilot training aircraft. It's crazy that Iran even has these things to be able to trade. So the writing is on the wall, people. And then these non-SWIFT interbank systems, they're growing. Now that the sanctions were on Russia and their adversaries, which is all of our enemies and the biggest, craziest ones, now they're bringing in people like BRICS. BRICS is inviting all of these countries. They have 40 plus countries involved, and there's another 40 or so countries that are actually interested. BRICS is, this whole thing, the sanctions towards it, has pushed them into this cozy little bed together. Not a good thing. And Dex, do you want to talk about the Pentagon and what they just announced?
Well, they formally announced that it's the final, or as others are calling it, the final package for UKR. It's only about $250 million. I think this is what we heard coming out of the White House, that there was one more they were trying to squeeze in this year. They actually had funding for this stuff, so it's not like they're getting new money. Actually, part of this may have come from that defense budget, because actually, no, that would be into next year. But that would be, I think there was $300 million allocated in there, or $400 million. It's not a lot. I mean, that's a lot to all of us, but in the big picture, the White House is trying to get a $61 billion package passed that the Congress is saying, talk to the hand. We're not doing it. So this is pretty much wrapping it up. It kind of goes hand in hand with the messaging that we talked about yesterday, where they were suggesting that even Biden was doing silent or, quietly talking about potential negotiations to end this instead of continuing. So, but they're sending some javelins, some 155 millimeter, 105 millimeter artillery rounds, some anti-tank systems, and some other things from small arms munitions. So again, not a lot. So HIMARS rockets and Stinger anti-aircraft. So about 250 million worth.
Yep. So they're saying it's the last one. We'll see. And we are not equipped to deal with this. Migrant surge overwhelms the U.S. border. This is another one. This is a dividing topic as well. I've gotten emails about too some of the subjects here that are going on. I just want to make clear, there's probably a lot of really great people that are trying to start a better life. But we absolutely know there's documented proof that bad people are coming over in this. And I believe they used this time period, this whole invitation to the United States a few years ago that started off this huge, huge thing. Migrant caravans in the tens and tens of thousands coming towards and overwhelming the borders. We covered a story last week where it was 15,000 people in one day went through a certain area. It's like that is absolutely unheard of. I mean, there were months where there were 22,000. They're saying 14, 15,000 in one day. This is to the point where it's going to get so incredibly uh, overcrowded in certain areas. I mean, this is something that we're not set up for. An economy can't just keep bringing people in and not have some sort of, structure set up for that. So in the case of if all of this, it's like this is not something that can continue without something bad happening. But on top of that, we have all of the other crazy stuff that's being speculated and talked about. The confirmation of hundreds of, if not hundreds of thousands of people coming from China, 18 to 25 military age men. Like it literally looks like some sort of invasion is going on hidden inside of these surges. But they have talked about it, and they say we are not equipped to deal with this. Scott Carmone, a Border Patrol watch commander, said while surveying the muddy encampment, says it's a humanitarian disaster. What's even sadder is that these parents going through the worst conditions, bringing tiny babies and doing these treks that are sometimes, miles and miles and miles longs of these treks through really harsh 110-degree weather. Like, I'm sorry, I don't understand that. I get that they're trying for a better life, but I would say do that, get the better life, have your kid watched, and then when you got the better life, or somehow figure out how to get your kid there later or something. Do you guys understand that? Like, I don't see how so many kids are getting taken over in the worst of conditions. I would think anybody would turn around if it got to the point where it would risk that kind of stuff. Once you see the data on the wee ones that are, that don't make it, their parents make it, but they don't. How? I don't think there is a better life if you get there without your kids. Dex, go ahead.
I think they need to let them know what the rent is here in America because it's gone up so much. I don't know how they're going to afford it, and it just makes it even worse. More people trying to compete and find housing.
Well, I know a guy that rents out he has a 4-unit apartment building, and one of his units has 12 guys living in it, and he's okay with it. He's not the greatest, he's an old boss of a trucking company that I worked for, and it's like it's kind of a slum. I mean, like, and well, any place with 12 people living in one room could be, but it is not. If you're familiar with Seattle, it's on 99, so it's like 12 people living in one room. That's insane, and they all have cots, and they're all not. They don't. He was cool with them not having certain things, certain IDs, this and that. It's like that's how a lot of them can get by is they will all go in on a place and they'll live like that for years. So if the rent is $2,000 for a closet, then 12 people share that closet. It's horrible. Most of us wouldn't want to do it, but that's how a lot of them do. And Dex, do you want to let people know how to get to the website? We got a lot of crazy stuff over there.
Very easy. Go to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show. Or if you want to get directly there, just hit the show notes link that's down below in the description on YouTube and Rumble. it'll take you right here. All of our links are usually right below in the description if you're looking for them. They'll head you right in the direction of the website, marfooglenews.com.
Thank you over on D Live, everybody that made it tonight. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you, Chance, for holding it down over there. And let's see here. Thank you, Kimbria. Thank you, everyone that has stuck around for the whole show, too. Thank you, ACSW. Thank you, Ripple Effect. Thank you, Jerry Shirts. Thank you, Alex Hawkins. I appreciate you guys. And big thank you to Be Real Beast. Thank you, Danish Girl, Chanel Bevaliqua, from the Bible Belt, Tennessee, Liz W., Richard Koschmeider, KT Cleans a Lot, Stephen McMahon, A.E. Kutu, and thank you, Dean. I appreciate that. And then thank you for the new subscribers tonight. Genius by birth. That's funny. I know you've been here for a long time. You had to resubscribe. That's right. Yeah, it unsubscribed you. Bible Talk 777 just on Dex. This is so weird. I see so many names on here. Oh, that's so lame. So, like you said, you got unsubscribed. It's like a bunch of our regulars. It would be one thing if they weren't watching the channel and they were clearing out people for that reason. But there's people on this thing that have watched every single night. That's just lame. A bunch of resubscribes. Thank you guys. Much love. Make sure to go check out the video over on Marfoogle News. This is the video right here. So make sure to go check that out afterwards. If you didn't see it earlier, that's my theory on Don't Look Up is actually happening? ? It is actually happening in a way because they are launching a mission to mine the quintillion asteroid. But the first story is the one to pay attention to on that one. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Dex. Appreciate your service tonight.
Much love. Great job, brother.
Thank your wonderful mods by going over to marfooglenews.com/friends. Love you. It's now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. Recipes in the Poco Loco, as long with the Jordan and the Cali sing.